My child, stop for a moment and listen carefully. This message is not appearing before you by accident. I have watched every tear you tried to hide, every battle you fought in silence, and every night you wondered if I was still near. Today I must warn you, something is approaching faster than you realize. The days ahead will test many hearts, and the world around you may begin to change in unexpected ways. But do not be afraid. I am speaking now because I love you. What is coming is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to prepare you for what I have planned. My child, you did not arrive at this moment by chance. There is no accident in the timing of your life, and there is no coincidence in the way this message has reached you today, at this exact hour, in this exact circumstance. I knew the precise moment you would need to hear these words, long before you opened your eyes this morning, long before this day even began to unfold. I knew the weight you have been carrying, the silence you have been sitting inside of, and the questions you have whispered into the dark when no one else was listening, when the room was empty and the only sound was your own breathing. You thought you were alone in those moments, but I was there. I have always been there. I saw the tears that fell onto your pillow when the lights were off and the house was quiet, when you pressed your face into the fabric so no one would hear the sound of your grief. I saw the prayers you tried to pray but could not find the words for, so you simply sat there, broken, hoping that somehow I understood the ache behind your silence. I did. I have always understood it, even when you could not explain it to yourself. I have seen the nights you stared at the ceiling, replaying conversations, regretting choices, wondering if you had failed too many times to be used for anything good. I have seen the mornings you forced a smile because the world expected strength from you, even when your spirit was tired and your heart felt hollow underneath the surface you presented to everyone around you. None of that escaped me, my child. Not one tear, not one sigh, not one unspoken fear that crossed your mind in the quiet hours. I have walked beside you through every disappointment, every delay, every door that closed when you thought it would open wide for you. I have watched you carry burdens that were never meant for your shoulders alone, yet you carried them anyway because you did not know how to let go, because no one ever taught you that some weight is not yours to hold forever. I want you to know today that I have not been distant. I have not been silent because I stopped caring about the details of your life. I have been near, closer than your own breath, closer than the thoughts running through your mind right now as you listen to these words. There is something I need to tell you before it happens, something that will change the way you walk through the next season of your life. But first I need you to receive this truth into your spirit and let it settle there. You are not forgotten. You are not invisible. You are not too far gone for my love to reach you. No matter how far you believe you have wandered, no matter how many mistakes you believe have disqualified you from being seen, I brought you here, to this exact place, in this exact moment, because there is something I need to tell you before it happens, and I needed your heart to be ready to receive it. A new season is coming, my child, and it will not look like the one you have been living in for so long. The world around you will not stay the same as it is today. Things that once felt steady beneath your feet will begin to shift, slowly at first, and then all at once, the way a tide changes direction without announcing itself in advance. You will notice it in the way plans that seemed certain suddenly change direction without warning. You will notice it in the way people you depended on will pull back, distancing themselves for reasons you may not fully understand at first. You will notice it in the way situations you thought were settled will reopen, demanding your attention again just when you believed they were finally behind you. Do not let this frighten you, for I am not telling you this to create panic in your heart. I am telling you because I want you prepared, not surprised, not caught off guard by something I have already seen coming from a long way off. There is a wind that begins to move before a storm arrives, a stirring in the air that those who are paying attention can feel long before the clouds gather and the sky grows heavy. That wind is moving now, my child, and I want you to recognize it for what it truly is. It is not destruction. It is preparation. Just as the sky grows darkest in the moments before the sun rises, the season ahead may feel uncertain before it gives way to something brighter than you have known in a long time. Doors that you have been knocking on for years may finally close, not because I have abandoned you or grown tired of your requests, but because what is behind them was never meant to be your final destination. And as those doors close, others will open, doors you did not even know existed, leading to rooms you could not have imagined for yourself in your wildest planning. The shaking you feel is not random, even when it feels chaotic from where you are standing. It has purpose woven through every part of it. It is loosening your grip on things that were never going to satisfy you, so that your hands can be free to receive what I have prepared instead, something better suited to who you are becoming, rather than who you used to be. You will soon understand why I allowed certain things to happen the way they did, why the timing felt so strange, why the waiting stretched on longer than you thought you could endure. The waiting will make sense eventually. The closed doors will make sense. The delays, the disappointments, the seasons that felt like wasted time, all of it will come together like pieces of a picture you could not see clearly while you were standing too close to it. Trust the process, my child, even when you cannot yet see the full design taking shape. You will soon understand why I allowed certain things to happen, and when that understanding comes, it will bring a peace that the waiting itself could never have given you. There is a reason I allowed you to walk through the valleys you have walked through, my child, and it was never because I enjoyed watching you suffer, or because your pain meant nothing to me. I want you to release that lie from your heart right now, because it has no place in the truth of who I am and who I have always been toward you. I do not delight in your pain. I am not distant while you struggle, watching coldly from somewhere far away, indifferent to what you are enduring. Every difficulty you have faced has passed through my hands first, examined, measured, and permitted only because something inside you needed exactly that experience to grow. Nothing was allowed into your life without purpose attached to it, even when the purpose remained hidden from you for years. The failures you have experienced, the times you tried and fell short despite giving everything you had, the goals that slipped through your fingers no matter how hard you worked toward them, those were not signs that you were unworthy or incapable. They were classrooms. They were places where I was teaching you things that success could never have taught you. Lessons about patience, about humility, about depending on me rather than on your own strength alone. Rejection has a strange way of revealing what is truly inside a person, stripping away the performance and exposing the foundation underneath. And I allowed certain doors to close in your face, so that you would discover a strength you did not know you carried until that exact moment of disappointment. The people who walked away from you, the relationships that ended in betrayal, the friendships that dissolved without explanation, leaving you confused and questioning your own worth, those moments cut deep, and I felt every wound alongside you, even when you believed you were grieving alone. But even betrayal has been used by me before to position someone for something greater than they could have reached on their own path, something they never would have pursued if the comfortable relationship had remained intact. Think of how many of my own servants throughout history were tested through betrayal, through abandonment, through seasons that looked like complete failure from the outside, yet those very seasons became the foundation for everything remarkable that followed in their lives. I am not making you suffer for no reason, my child. I am not breaking you down simply to leave you in pieces with no purpose attached to the breaking. I am removing what is weak so that what remains in you is unshakable, refined, like something passed through fire, until only the strongest material remains. I am not weakening you. I am making you stronger, layer by layer, season by season, even in the moments when it felt like nothing good could possibly come from what you were experiencing. Every trial has been measured carefully, every test has been timed precisely, and nothing has been wasted. Not even the years that felt like they were going nowhere, not even the seasons where you questioned whether anything you were doing mattered at all. There is a strength being built inside you right now that you cannot fully see yet. A resilience formed in the quiet seasons when no one was applauding you and no one even noticed your struggle, when you kept going simply because stopping was never truly an option you allowed yourself to consider. That strength is not for nothing. It has a purpose, and that purpose is bigger than the pain it took to build it, bigger than the seasons that felt unbearable while you were living through them. What I prepared inside you is greater than what is coming against you, my child. Hold on to that truth, because you will need to remember it soon, perhaps sooner than you think. There is an enemy who watches closely, my child, and his greatest weapon is not raw power but distraction, confusion, and fear planted quietly until it grows roots you did not notice forming. He cannot take away what I have promised you, no matter how hard he tries, but he will attempt everything within his ability to make you lose focus on the path ahead of you. He whispers fear into quiet moments, planting seeds of doubt about whether I truly see you, whether I truly care about the details of your life, whether the promises spoken over you were ever real to begin with, or simply wishful thinking you clung to during desperate seasons. He wants you anxious about tomorrow so that you forget to live faithfully today, trading the present moment for endless worry about a future that has not yet arrived and may never unfold the way your fear imagines it will. He wants confusion to cloud your mind so that you cannot recognize my voice when I speak clearly, drowning out truth with a flood of competing noise until you no longer trust your own discernment. He wants you to lose your peace over things that have not even happened yet, trading the stillness I offer for restless nights spent imagining worst-case outcomes that may never come to pass at all. In the days ahead, the noise around you will grow louder, my child. Negative voices will multiply, opinions will clash violently, and reports designed to frighten will spread quickly from one person to another, gaining momentum the way fear always does when it is left unchecked. You will see others around you panic, react without thinking clearly, and make decisions rooted in fear rather than faith, decisions they will later regret once the dust settles and clarity returns. Do not follow that pattern, my child. Do not let what frightens others control what guides you through this season. There is a difference between awareness and anxiety, between being informed and being completely consumed by what you have heard. If you feed your fear with constant worry, replaying every troubling headline and every frightening possibility, it will grow until it overshadows your faith entirely, leaving no room for trust to breathe. But if you feed your faith with my promises, with prayer, with truth spoken over your life again and again, then fear will shrink in comparison, no matter how loud the world becomes around you, no matter how many voices try to convince you otherwise. Protect your heart above everything else you guard during this season, for out of it flows the direction of your entire life. Every decision, every reaction, every step you take forward. Many will fall in the coming days, not because the trial itself was too strong for them to survive, but because they listened to the wrong voice instead of mine, trading discernment for panic in a moment when clarity mattered most. They will trade peace for panic and faith for fear, simply because they did not take the time to discern where the message was truly coming from. I do not want that for you, my child. Many will fall because they listened to the wrong voice, but you were not made to follow the crowd into despair. Change is coming, my child, and some of it will arrive sooner than you expect, faster than the timeline you have privately set in your own mind. Relationships you have considered stable will be tested in ways that reveal their true foundation, separating what was genuine connection from what was simply convenience dressed up to look like loyalty. Some will grow stronger through the testing, deepening into something more honest and more genuine than before, the kind of bond that can only form once it has survived pressure. Others will reveal that they were never as solid as they appeared, crumbling the moment real weight was placed upon them. Do not be devastated if certain people step back during this season, my child, for it is often through testing that I show you who was truly walking beside you and who was simply walking near you while the path was easy. Finances for many will feel unstable during this time, shifting in ways that create uncertainty about provision and security, forcing difficult conversations and difficult adjustments that no one wants to make. Plans that once seemed guaranteed may need to be rebuilt from a different a separating of what is essential from what was simply convenient or comfortable. During this time, secrets that have remained hidden for a long while will begin to surface into plain sight. Truths that some have tried to bury beneath layers of silence will rise into the light, not to humiliate anyone involved, but because nothing stays concealed forever, and what is true eventually finds its way into the open no matter how carefully it was hidden. This applies to situations happening around you, and sometimes it applies within your own heart as well, revealing things you have avoided looking at directly for far too long. I will use this season to bring clarity to things that have remained unclear for far too long, clearing away confusion that has lingered without resolution. What can be shaken will be shaken, my child. This is not a new pattern emerging out of nowhere. It is simply something happening now in a way you are beginning to notice more clearly than before. Foundations built on sand will not survive what is coming, no matter how impressive they appeared on the surface. But foundations built on truth, on faith, on genuine connection with me, will remain standing no matter how strong the wind blows against them. I want you to examine where your own foundation rests today, my child. Is it built on people who can change their minds, on circumstances that can shift overnight, on temporary comfort that was never designed to last forever? Or is it built on something that cannot be shaken no matter what storm arrives at your door? What can be shaken will be shaken, but my hand will remain over those who trust me, steady and unmoved, even while everything else around them seems to tremble and collapse. Before any of this began, my child, I had already gone ahead of you, walking the road before your feet ever touched it. I do not react to your circumstances the way you sometimes fear that I might, scrambling to respond after disaster strikes without warning. I saw this season coming long before you were even born into this world, and I prepared a shelter for you long before the storm clouds ever gathered on your horizon. Nothing that happens in the days ahead will catch me by surprise, my child. I am not anxious about it, I am not scrambling to find a solution, and I am not uncertain about how this will unfold for you. I already know the outcome, and that outcome includes you standing firm, protected, and whole on the other side of whatever you are about to walk through. Think of a father who watches his child playing near the edge of danger, ready at every moment to reach out and pull them back before harm can touch them, his eyes never leaving them even for a second. That is how closely I watch over you, my child, even in moments when you feel unseen or unheard, even when you believe no one is paying attention to what you are going through. You are never out of my sight, never beyond my reach, never forgotten in the middle of difficulty, no matter how isolated you feel in that moment. Think also of a lighthouse standing firm on rocky shores, its light cutting through the darkest storm so that ships lost in turbulent waters can still find their way safely home despite the chaos surrounding them. I am that light for you, steady even when the waves around you rise higher than you expected, visible even when the fog of uncertainty tries to hide the path ahead from your view. You are protected even when you cannot see it, my child. The shelter I have built for you does not depend on your ability to perceive it with your eyes or to understand it with your mind. It exists because I built it with my own hands, because I promised it long ago, because my faithfulness does not waver based on your awareness of it in any given moment. There will be moments in this season when you feel exposed, vulnerable, uncertain whether anything is truly holding you up beneath the surface. In those moments, remember that feelings are not always accurate reporters of truth, no matter how convincing they feel in the moment they arise. Just because you cannot see the shelter does not mean it has vanished or stopped existing. It simply means your eyes have not yet adjusted to see what has been there all along, faithfully surrounding you. You are protected even when you cannot see it, and that protection was established long before you ever needed it, long before this season ever began to unfold. Behind every storm I allow, my child, there is a blessing waiting to be revealed once the winds finally settle and the noise dies down. I do not lead you through difficulty simply to leave you standing in the wreckage with nothing to show for what you endured. There is always something on the other side, something that makes the journey through the storm worthwhile in ways you cannot yet imagine while you are still in the middle of it. New doors are forming even now, doors connected to opportunities you have not yet considered, paths that will only become visible once you have walked through what currently feels uncertain and uncomfortable. Prayers you thought had gone unanswered are not forgotten, my child. They are simply being answered on a timeline that aligns with everything else I am orchestrating in your life, a timeline far more intricate than you could plan on your own. Some of those prayers will be answered in ways so unexpected that you will recognize my hand immediately the moment it happens, while others will unfold so gradually that you will only notice the answer once you look back and see how far you have actually come from where you started. There are also meetings being arranged that you have not yet experienced, divine appointments, where the right person will appear in your life at precisely the right moment, bringing exactly what you need, whether that is wisdom, encouragement, opportunity, or simple companionship during a season that has felt isolating and lonely. What seems like an ending right now is, in truth, a beginning disguised in unfamiliar clothing that you do not yet recognize. The closing of one chapter often looks like loss before it reveals itself as the necessary conclusion required for the next chapter to begin properly. I understand that endings are painful, my child, I understand the grief that comes with watching something familiar slip away, even when that something was never going to lead you where you are truly meant to go in the end. But I am asking you to trust that what feels like loss today is making room for what I am bringing tomorrow, something far better suited to the person you are becoming. The blessing is already moving toward you, even now, even while you cannot yet see its shape clearly from where you are standing. It has already begun its journey toward your life, and no delay you are currently experiencing has the power to cancel what I have already set into motion long ago. The blessing is already moving toward you, my child, closer than you realize, closer than you have allowed yourself to hope. There is something I am asking you to do today, my child, not because I demand perfection from you before I will move on your behalf, but because closeness with me changes everything about how you experience the season ahead. Pray more than you have been praying lately, not out of obligation or guilt, but out of recognition that conversation with me is where strength is renewed and clarity is restored. Read the words I have left for you more often, allowing them to settle into your spirit so deeply that when fear tries to speak, truth is already louder and more familiar in your heart, ready to answer back without hesitation. Do not run after fear, my child. Do not let urgency or panic dictate the pace of your decisions during this season. Fear moves quickly and recklessly, demanding immediate action without consideration. But wisdom moves carefully, even when circumstances seem to be pressing for an immediate response from you. Avoid making major decisions while you are in a state of panic, because decisions made from fear rarely produce the outcomes that decisions made from peace can produce over time. Instead, slow down, breathe deeply. Sit with me for a while before you act on anything that feels urgent in the moment. Picture yourself sitting beside a fire on a cold night, the warmth slowly returning to your hands and your spirit, as you simply remain present in that space, without rushing toward the next task waiting for you. That is what I am inviting you into during this season, my child. Not constant motion and endless striving, but moments of stillness, where you allow my presence to restore what the world has been depleting from you day after day. Stay close to me, my child. This is the simplest instruction I can give you, yet it carries the weight of everything else I have spoken today. When you stay close to me, fear loses its grip more easily, unable to maintain the hold it once had over your thoughts. When you stay close to me, confusion clears more quickly, replaced by a clarity that only comes from spending time in my presence. When you stay close to me, you begin to recognize my voice above every other voice competing for your attention in this noisy season. Stay close to me, and you will find that the storm, while still present around you, no longer feels as threatening as it once did before you drew near. To everyone who remains faithful through this season, my child, I make this promise without hesitation or condition. You will not be left behind. You will not be forgotten in the middle of your struggle, no matter how long that struggle stretches on. I will give new strength to those who grow weary, strength that does not come from human effort or willpower, but from a source that never runs dry no matter how much is drawn from it. I will guide you step by step, not all at once, but exactly when you need direction, exactly enough light for the next part of the path, even when you cannot see the entire road stretching out ahead of you. What feels impossible to you right now will become possible at the right time, not because circumstances suddenly change on their own accord, but because I am the one who moves on your behalf in ways you cannot orchestrate alone, no matter how hard you try. I am your refuge, a place you can run to when everything else feels overwhelming and uncertain, a shelter that never turns you away no matter how many times you have needed to return to it throughout your life. I am your strength, especially in the moments when your own strength has been completely exhausted, when you have nothing left to give, and yet somehow still need to keep moving forward despite the exhaustion. I am your peace, even in circumstances that by every natural measure should produce anxiety and fear. I offer a peace that does not depend on the situation being resolved before it settles into your heart and takes root there. I am your provider, faithful to supply what you need exactly when you need it, even when the path of provision looks nothing like what you expected or planned for yourself in advance. These are not empty words spoken simply to comfort you temporarily, my child. These are declarations rooted in who I have always been throughout every generation that has called upon my name in their own seasons of need. Hold on to these truths in the days ahead, especially when circumstances try to convince you otherwise, when doubt whispers that this time might be different. I am your refuge. I am your strength. I am your peace. I am your provider. Let these words anchor you deep within, when everything else around you feels uncertain and shifting beneath your feet. As this message comes to a close, my child, I want you to feel the weight of one final truth settle over you completely. I love you, not because of what you have accomplished, not because of how well you have performed under pressure, but simply because you are mine, and that has never depended on your performance. I have never left you, not during the seasons when you felt most alone, not during the nights when silence felt heavier than any storm you have ever walked through. Everything that is approaching, every shift, every challenge, every test waiting on the horizon, exists within a plan that I am still writing carefully, a plan that has not been abandoned, despite how uncertain the present moment may feel to you right now. I am asking you now to walk forward in faith rather than retreating into fear, my child. Faith does not require you to understand everything before taking the next step forward. It simply requires you to trust the one who already understands what you cannot yet see clearly. Do not fear tomorrow, my child. I am already there, waiting for you in every moment that has not yet arrived, present in advance of every challenge you will eventually face along the way. Trust me through this season. Hold my hand even when the path feels unfamiliar beneath your feet, even when the ground beneath you shifts in ways you did not anticipate or prepare for in advance. Keep moving forward, my child, not because the way is always clear in front of you, but because standing still will not bring you any closer to what I have prepared for you on the other side of this season. The story is not ending, my child, no matter how much the current chapter may feel like a conclusion to everything you have known. It is only beginning, and what comes next will reveal why every difficult page before this one mattered as much as it did, why the waiting was necessary, why the testing had purpose woven through it from the very start. Carry this truth with you as you continue forward into what is coming. You were brought to this message for a reason, and that reason was never about chance or coincidence. It was about love, the kind of love that reaches into silence and speaks exactly when it is needed most. The kind of love that does not give up on you, even when you have been tempted to give up on yourself. Remember, my child, that seasons change, but my character never does. The same faithfulness that carried you through yesterday is the same faithfulness that will carry you through tomorrow, and the same love that has held you until this very moment will continue holding you long after this message has ended. There is no version of the future where I am absent from your story, no chapter ahead where you will need to face anything entirely on your own. I have written myself into every page that is still coming, woven into every conversation, every decision, every quiet moment where you wonder if anyone truly understands what you are carrying. The world will continue to shift around you in the days ahead, and voices will continue rising and falling with each new piece of unsettling news. But you, my child, have been given something the world cannot offer and cannot take away. You have been given my presence, steady through every season, unaffected by circumstances that seem to change everything else around you. Let that presence be your anchor when the waters grow rough. Let it be your compass when the path grows unclear. Let it be your comfort when the nights grow long and the answers grow slow in arriving. You are not walking toward destruction, my child. You are walking toward purpose, toward the very thing I designed you for before the foundations of the world were even laid. Every tear has been counted. Every prayer has been heard. Every quiet moment of faith you have shown, even when no one else was watching, has not gone unnoticed by me. I see all of it, and I am moving on your behalf even now, in ways that have not yet become visible to your eyes. I know there are doubts rising in your heart, even as you hear these words, my child, and I am not asking you to silence those doubts through force or pretend they do not exist. I am asking you to bring them to me instead of carrying them alone in the dark. There is no question too difficult for me, no fear too embarrassing to confess, no wound too painful to lay at my feet. You have spent so long believing you must appear strong, that vulnerability is weakness, that admitting you are struggling somehow makes you less capable of facing what is ahead. That is not the truth I have for you. Strength is not the absence of fear. It is choosing to trust me, even while the fear is present, even while your hands are shaking, and your mind is racing through every possible outcome. Consider how many times throughout history I have called people who felt entirely unqualified for what I was asking of them, people who stuttered when asked to speak, people who hid when asked to lead, people who doubted their own worth long before anyone else ever doubted it. I did not choose them because they were ready. I chose them because I was willing to make them ready, step by step, season by season, through exactly the kind of process you are walking through right now. If you feel unqualified for what is ahead, my child, take comfort in knowing that feeling has never disqualified anyone I have ever called. It has only ever been the beginning of the story, not the end of it. There will be days in this season when you feel like you are moving backward instead of forward, when the progress you hoped for seems to reverse itself without warning. Do not measure my faithfulness by how quickly things unfold according to your own timeline. I am not bound by the calendar you have created in your mind for how your life should look by now. I am working according to a wisdom that sees further than you can see, that understands timing in ways that have nothing to do with convenience and everything to do with what will actually serve you well in the long run. Trust the slowness when it comes. Trust the waiting when it stretches longer than you expected. I have never once been late, even when it felt that way to those who were waiting on me. I also want to speak directly to the weariness you carry, my child, because I know it has settled deep into your bones after everything you have endured up to this point. There is a tiredness that sleep cannot fix, a fatigue that comes not from your body but from your spirit, worn down by carrying things that were never meant to be carried alone for this long. I see that weariness. I am not asking you to push through it by sheer willpower, gritting your teeth until you collapse from exhaustion. I am inviting you to rest in me, to lay down what you have been holding so tightly, even if only for a moment, even if only for today. Rest does not mean giving up. Rest does not mean abandoning what I have called you to do. Rest means trusting me enough to release control over outcomes that were never yours to control in the first place. So many carry burdens that were always meant to be carried together, shared between themselves and me, yet they insist on bearing the full weight alone, believing that asking for help or leaning into faith is somehow a failure on their part. It is not a failure, my child. It is wisdom. It is the very thing I have been waiting for you to discover throughout this entire season of difficulty. As you walk through what is ahead, you will encounter moments where you must choose between two paths. The path of striving on your own strength, or the path of surrendering to mine. I want to be honest with you, my child. The path of surrender does not always feel easier in the moment. It requires a kind of trust that goes against everything the world has taught you, about self-reliance, about pulling yourself up by your own effort, about proving your worth through constant achievement. But surrender is not weakness. Surrender is the doorway through which my greatest strength enters your life, filling the spaces where your own strength has run out. I want you to remember the stories of those who came before you, who faced impossible circumstances, and watched them transform into testimonies of my faithfulness. Walls that seemed unbreakable fell at the right moment. Seas that seemed impossible to cross opened a path right through the middle. Storms that seemed certain to capsize the boat were silenced with a single word spoken at exactly the right time. These were not isolated events disconnected from your own story. They were patterns, demonstrations of how I move on behalf of those who trust me, even when the odds seem impossibly stacked against them. The same hand that parted waters and silenced storms has not grown weaker with time. That same hand is extended toward you right now, in this very moment, in this very season you are walking through. I also want to address the comparison that creeps into your heart during seasons like this one, my child. The temptation to look at others and wonder why their path seems easier, why their storms seem smaller, why their breakthroughs seem to arrive faster than yours. Comparison will rob you of the peace I am trying to give you if you allow it to take root. Your story is not their story. Your timeline is not their timeline. What I am building in you requires a process unique to your life, your calling, your purpose, and that process cannot be measured against anyone else's journey without distorting your understanding of what I am actually doing. Release the comparison, my child. Trust that what I am doing in you is exactly what you need, regardless of what it looks like in someone else's life. There will also be moments in this season when you feel forgotten by those around you, overlooked, unnoticed, as though your struggles matter to no one but yourself. I want to remind you that being unseen by others has never meant being unseen by me. I noticed you before anyone else ever did. I will continue noticing you long after others have moved on to other concerns, other distractions, other people who seem to need their attention more urgently in the moment. You were never meant to find your entire worth in how visible you are to others. Your worth was settled long ago, the moment I called you mine, and nothing that happens in this season has the power to change that settled truth. As the days ahead unfold, my child, I want you to hold tightly to gratitude even in the midst of difficulty. Gratitude does not mean pretending everything is fine when it is not. It means recognizing the good that still remains, even while hardship presses in from every side. There is still breath in your lungs. There is still purpose in your story. There is still time for everything I have promised to come to pass exactly as I have spoken it. Gratitude in difficult seasons is not denial. It is defiance against despair, a declaration that you will not let circumstances steal the joy that comes from knowing me, regardless of how difficult the present moment feels. I am asking you to become someone who watches for my hand in the small things as well as the large ones, my child. So often during difficult seasons, people search desperately for one massive sign, one undeniable miracle that will prove I am still present and still working. But I move in smaller ways more often than people realize. Through a timely word from a stranger, through an unexpected provision that arrives exactly when needed, through a moment of unexplainable peace settling over a heart that should be anxious. Train your eyes to notice these moments, my child, and you will find that I have been speaking and moving far more than you previously realized. I want to remind you also that this season, difficult as it may be, has an expiration date attached to it. It will not last forever, no matter how permanent it feels right now. Seasons change. Storms pass. Winter eventually gives way to spring, no matter how long the cold seems to stretch on without relief. The same is true for whatever you are walking through right now. This is not your permanent address, my child. It is a temporary passage through difficulty, leading towards something I have already prepared on the other side, something worth every step of the journey it took to reach it. Stay faithful, stay close, stay rooted in what I have spoken to you today, and watch as it unfolds exactly the way I have promised, in exactly the time I have appointed, for exactly the purpose I have always intended for your life. My child, do not fear tomorrow. I am already there waiting for you. Trust me, hold my hand, and keep moving forward. The story is not ending, it is only beginning.